Good morning, everybody. Welcome to DBDLeague Winter Circuit. I'm Prion here, opening the day for you guys, and we have quite a game for you this morning. You may notice that the games are a little bit earlier than usual, just like last week, and there is a pattern there, and that is because we are going to be casting Team China once again in their fight against Eternal, one of the best teams in the world. And who else better to cast this with me than Zach? Zach is going to be taking it with me today. How are you doing, Zach?
I'm good, Prion. Really excited to be back on the desk with you and for such an exciting game. You have already had the pleasure of casting Team China this tournament already with the qualifying match. And I have to say they had a really impressive opener, which you had the pleasure of seeing, the 4K5 on Blight. Fortunately, we're not going to be seeing a Blight game today, but how did you find that game in particular? And what's that sort of set your expectations up for this game?
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Just in case anybody at home hasn't seen Team China play before, as Zach said, they were extremely impressive in their qualifying match. Their Blight 4K5'd, and just in general, their killer and survivor performances were very high quality. So it's definitely going to be a much greater test of their skill today playing against Eternal. Some would say the best team in the world, but recently most people say they are the second best team in the world after Elysium won the All Hallows League. So it's interesting, Zach, because I was doing a little bit of research last night, and these teams have actually met before. I was in Otofu's chat last night, and Nightlight was chatting with him about how they've played against Team China before, and they said that it was for a DBD Asia showcase match. So I think it was only a best of three. Nightlight said that two of the games Eternal won in pretty dominating fashion, but that the Nurse game was quite close, and Team China's Nurse is insane. So that's all the information I have about their previous run-in with Team China.
I see. Yeah, I think the Eternal players have been involved in quite a few showcases. Some of their players were involved in the East versus West showcase as well, the Hensids. So, in terms of players, and strategies, I think that they have met since they've met each other. It's not like they're not strange. They're not oblivious to the strategies that either side use. And I think that's one thing that we've also seen. I was also doing some research into Asian comp and the Asian server and DBD in general. And I saw some tier lists, and what I thought was interesting was the sort of way they perceive killers and the difference between us in general and what they think about when they look at killers. And the Vecna game that we have coming up was interesting because I've seen a few tier lists that place Vecna quite high up in A tier. So he's actually seen as quite a strong killer, which I think differs to what we sort of see. We think Vecna's quite weak, but I think that's going to be really interesting coming into our first game, seeing how they're going to be playing Vecna. Of course, in our Winter Circuit balancing, survivors aren't allowed to open the magical chests, which was only going to serve to help Vecna in this game. So I think we're in for an interesting first game based on what I've seen so far of how these killers are perceived.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And let's talk a little bit about the map as well, because it's a very interesting pick. Vecna is going to be played on the Grim Pantry, which is a map that we don't see very often. I believe the last time we saw it, it was when Team Japan, Kichaze, picked it for the Spirit. And the only other time we see Grim Pantry besides that was when Nightlight would select the Clown on Grim Pantry. So kind of ironic that it's going to be Eternal playing Survivor on it first here then. But Vecna on Grim Pantry is a really interesting one because of the way that Vecna interacts with elevation on the map with his skeletons. So you got to imagine that our killer here, our killer's name is NF from Team China, that he's got some plans to be playing around those slopes and ramps on the Grim Pantry with the Flight of the Damned.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we want to spoil the build going into it, but
Nope,
I
we're not
think
allowed to talk about the build at all.
yeah. But I definitely think that's going to be an interesting factor too, and I think that they've clearly come with a strategy in mind and a plan for this match. I think this is going to be really exciting. And
Now I want to go look at the build and get prepared to talk about it, but we're not
yeah,
going to
I
talk
would.
about it here.
If I were you, I definitely would. Yeah. So in terms of predictions, I want to move on to predictions because I think that this is going to be China's set. I think China are going to take this set purely because I think everything is just a bit like it's a bit unusual for me seeing what they've picked, and I can only think in my head that that is something that they've maybe practiced before and something quite used to, and maybe something that Eternal might not be expecting. But yeah, that's for the first set, and following that, we do have Oni in game 2, and if we do reach game 3, that is going to be Unknown as a tiebreaker, and I'm not going to throw it onto you, Prion, but I'm gonna go with Eternal 2, China 1 for this one.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that's a very safe prediction. Um, Let me just say though, it's definitely a couple of classic sets coming after the very off-meta Vecna pick from China. Oni is one of the like what when I say like a classic comp set, Oni would probably be one of the top 2 or 3 sets that comes to mind. Maybe along with like Wraith, Dead Dog Saloon, and like I don't know, something like Blight Suffocation Pit. So Eternal looks like they're going to just be staying with what they know for their own picks, and then also going into the Unknown set, who has basically been an instant classic ever since he was released with the All Things Wicked chapter. So after we get out of this Vecna set, it's really just going to be more of a classic trip through NA and EU comp culture with those Oni and Unknown games. So we'll have to see how Team China stacks up with those, I guess, more traditional sets. So I guess, Zach, if I had to predict as well, I will predict that Team China is going to take this Vecna set. Um, just I do want to see them take it. Honestly, it's super interesting stuff going on. I'm seeing in the match chat with the builds. Can't talk about it yet, but you guys are really going to like this. And I think I'm going to have to agree with you on the predictions, Zach. We're going to go 2-1 Eternal.
Yeah, I guess with the these classic sets like you mentioned, Oni sets can go sort of quite badly quite quickly. And I think it's going to really come down to the early game. We've seen Eternal take serious stage games from Onis before, so we're used to seeing them dominate. How with Oni being so sort of lethal and dangerous with his demon dash and his insta down ability, could probably lead to quite aggressive playstyles, which we know China are good at, especially with that Blight set last weekend. So that I think is going to be quite a close set potentially. We could see quite close results. So I think it's going to be, whilst Eternal might take it, I think it's going to be definitely a battle to see who goes into it. One thing I will say is Origins beat Team China in the Unknown set last weekend, so we've sort of seen the performance there. So we do have some form of expectation, I guess, from Team China based on what we saw last weekend with some of the playstyles and also just some of the overlapping sets that we've got. But yeah, really interesting, I have to say.
Yeah, and it looks like both of the teams are getting ready here. Should be going into the match any second now. What? Okay, very quick switch from Spitz there onto the bald ace before he goes back to his normal Ada. That was a bit of a jump scare there.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect match to kick off our main stage. I'll be honest. I think it's one that sort of everyone's been anticipating. I would really like to see Team China make it through this winter stage. I really want to see them play against different teams. I really want to see lots of different killers played by them, all the strategies that they employ. Maybe some, I guess, I like to see maybe some of the killer perceptions that we have maybe destroyed. Trying to say, actually, Vecna's really strong. You thought he was weak before. Let us show you how to play him properly. Things like that. I want to see. I think it's one of those things with guest teams, where they bring in these different perspectives. And so that's why I think I'm rooting for Team China a little bit, but I don't know if they're going to be able to take down Eternal, a team like Eternal, who are long established and are just long reigning champions and typically a top 3 team in general.
I'm very curious to see what the Vecna from Team China here is running, especially in terms of add-ons as well. And actually, that's exactly what I expected as a Vecna player at home. But let's take a look at this build that we've been hinting at, Zach. NF from Team China running Scourge Hook, Jagged Compass, Gift of Pain, and Hangman's Trick.
Yeah,
This is something that he has been cooking, and he immediately takes chase onto an incline. Flight of the Damned ready, but he's actually just going to Mage Hand this pallet and hit Zaka instead. He could have actually hit him without the Mage Hand, but I don't think he expected Zaka to just run right into him there. So Zaka going to take the pallet stun and get distance to main, but getting distance to main may not be the best idea against Vecna with the Flight of the Damned. Going to be using the fly to close distance, landing right behind Zaka. That yellow add-on going to be helping him out here. Throws the Dispelling Orb, actually, instead of going for the hit. And Zaka going to be chasing around the main building now. This is one of the best places to be for Survivor, and it's actually going to make it pretty difficult for him to correctly use the Flight of the Damned here on any sort of inclined surface. He's not quite choosing to go down the stairs just yet, not casting those skeletons. And Zaka now breaking off to this filler pallet at the main building. Bloodlust generated now. Mage Hand comes out. He gets the haste from the boots. And he is going to get the hit there just barely at the end. That was certainly very close. Maybe not how I would have played that chase, but NF does get it done in the end. I really thought he was going to go down onto the stairs and try to get Zaka with the skeleton stack.
I think it just seems like he wanted to play distance a little bit. I think that Skeletons is... Mage Hand, I think, is a bit more consistent in terms of securing the downs. But the Skeletons can easily be dodged and might have potentially extended the chase longer than you might have, especially in a strong loop like that with that window vault, creating a lot of distance itself. Already we see Dan's been found with the Dispelling Sphere, and Zach is going to be unhooked off in the distance, and this chase looks like it's going to be going up onto the hill. On this incline, we'll see if he uses Flights of the Damned. Still not using it. Chase going to be taken onto Shaq and missing at the window. Unfortunately, Dan's going to be pretty happy with that one. And we see the first 2 chases of the game taken on the 2 strongest towers in the map. And Flight of the Damned not going to be hitting there. Has this really strong log pallet here. Going to be looping it around, but flies over it. Oh, and the Mage Hand's going to be used, so this may lead to a hit here. It does, yep, so he's going to path down into the jetty towards main building, and we see 3 separate gens being worked on by the Team Eternal Survivors, and Dan's buying a lot of time for his team here. Going to take Chase back down into docks, and is going to decide to commit. And this time, this chase is going for quite a while. Oh, with the Flight of the Damned around the corner is going to end up leading into the down for Dan.
Yeah, Dan goes down at the docks. I feel like that that down could have just been an M1, but so far I feel like he could be using the skeletons a little bit more. That was the only he tried to use them twice on Dan there, got a hit with one of them, but actually the basement hook is pretty huge here. He's recognized that the game is probably almost over, and one of the generators that they were working is very close to Shaq. So 4th generator going to be done in the distance, and Dan up on the hook in the basement, but he's going to be able to kick that gen that's close by and watch it regress while Dan is in the basement. Spitz, immediately noticing this, goes over to work a different gen, but this is going to buy NF quite a bit of time. Eternal has been doing great so far, Zach. They've been just taking chase in the strongest areas on the map only and running away from the generators that are being done. So, very. I mean, this is what you expect from Eternal. Not giving anything to NF for free and working on the gens very efficiently. So, just classic Eternal stuff. As Zaka getting found at the docks, not going to be committing though. And it looks like Nightlight is going to be maybe moving in for the save. They want to. I mean, Eternal can afford to play this slow. They maybe even let Dan go to second and finish the generator in exchange. Zaka now going to take an M1, drops the pallet, wants to avoid getting two-tapped by that mage hand, but looks like NF is going to go back to the basement as Dan is unhooked by Nightlight. Nightlight going to take an M1. No attempt to block the stairs there. But it looks like Dan is going to get out unscathed because NF wants fresh hooks, and that is definitely the smart decision at this point in the game.
Yeah, the gen efficiency's been really, really good from Eternal, and like you said, taking those first two chases and those
Oil over from Nightlight. Sorry to interrupt. What?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is just based on the tier of the killer or, but there are a lot of inclines actually, I guess, on Swamp, so it does make sense. And last gen's gonna pop. That's gonna be Nightlight taking his first stage, and yeah, I mean, of all the teams to dismantle a killer like Vecna, you'd expect Eternal to do really well, and they have done. 3 injuries on the board as we go into endgame, and I can't see I've seen any real value from this build. There was definitely clearly a strategy intended, but Eternal seemed to have just completely dominated in terms of playing these loops, and Dan's going to go down because of Mage Hand there on that pallet, and going to opt to slug. Yeah, used to Spelling Sphere to try and get some information on maybe where other survivors are. Is going to pick, this might be another basement hook, and for Eternal here, do you, I guess, go straight out? Can you really defend against this basement Vecna?
I think you take outs here if you're Eternal. You don't want to get like triple skeletoned on the stairs. And even if Dan dies here, it's a pretty good survival result for Eternal. It would be, I think, 5 stages.
Yeah, 5 stages. I mean, still quite good for a killer like Vecna, we might consider weak, but really well played by Eternal. And we'll just see how they can answer it. I guess, I think that this sort of start of that game, the first 2 chases, going from main building to Shack, really sort of put Team China behind right from the get-go, and Eternal capitalized on that, to be honest, Prion. I think that led to sort of the mid-game and the gens being cranked out straight away and just so quickly. It really does amaze me every time, you know, just seeing how quickly they get through those gens when they're given the opportunity to.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him use Flight of the Damned more. I feel like there were a lot of situations where Vecna was on lower ground than the survivors, and he just didn't opt to use Flight of the Damned. But he was very clean with the Mage Hand, though. Pretty sure every use of the Mage Hand resulted in a hit there for NF. So definitely a pretty skilled Vecna main. I know the Mage Hand is a lot more consistent than the Skeletons, but I would have thought that picking a map like Grim Pantry is, you know, to make the Skeletons more consistent. So we'll have to see, both who is playing Vecna from Team Eternal and also what kind of strategy they're going to be using. Team Eternal's Vecna build, we can't spoil it, but it's almost just as interesting as NF's.
It is, yeah. It is different. Probably perks you're more used to seeing, I would say, but I think that definitely there's going to be more value there, more secured value, I think, than what we saw in the first matchup. Again, if the game sort of follows the same track, maybe we could see quite a close result. But I think that the Team China are going to need some first good couple of chases in order to try and sort of prevent those stages coming in early and essentially get themselves off to a bad start. I don't know. I think Vecna not being seen too much in comp. There's still a chance. I'm not sure how much Eternals practice Vecna, but definitely seen it before. I think it's still to play for, but I think that the survivor performance from Eternals is just what we expected, and I think that maybe it's going to come down to how they perform on Killer. If you agree
Yeah,
with me,
so
Prion.
Team China's survivors were quite good last week in their match against Origins. The one thing that I want to see from the one thing that I want to see from China in this match against Eternal, especially on the survivor side, is I want to see them like play the ping matchup, I guess, if that makes sense. There were some times in the Origin match where it was like China's survivors in the 1v1, they would go for plays that don't necessarily work on a ping, like a cross-regional ping matchup. Um like taking a close 1v1 at a corner against a Wesker, or not dropping a pallet at a certain time when the killer is cross regional, if that makes sense. So playing against another team from EU, and one of the best in the world at that, I do want to see Team China maybe adjust their 1v1 survivor play for the ping matchup. Um it's definitely hard to get used to though. So can't really fault them for not being too experienced in the cross regional matchups when this is like their introduction to Western competitive.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned ping because there are sort of a lot of close scenarios that you do encounter in those situations with hits on pallets, and I think that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how they play it. I think that what I see from Vecna is, especially, I mean, using the Eclipse Valentine's match from last weekend, we saw a lot more use from the power. So I think that's sort of on the forefront of our minds. I think we're going to see that a lot more from the Eternal Killer this time around. So maybe they're not even going to get a chance to do those. I mean, like you say, the 1v1 ping matchups. But yeah, we are just readying up in the background, just waiting for the final player to ready up, and we are going to be loading in very, very soon. And we'll see how the Vecna performance goes. Like I said, this is China's pick, so they may have a plan on the survivor side too, which you didn't really consider. We sort of focused on the killer performance to start with. It might be a set that they're used to playing, like I said. Maybe I've got a plan of action in mind. There's a lot of unknowns, I think, in this matchup. We've got obviously it's a Team Eternal playing. You know, we have high expectations of them, and they're always so good in general. Have so much experience.
There are also some unknowns in the tiebreaker match.
There are indeed. The results definitely unknown, that's for sure. Yeah, just loading in here, and we'll be getting going very, very soon. And here we have it. We have Nightlight on the Vecna. You can see Corrupt Intervention play, and like we said, the build is slightly different, but it is perks that we're used to seeing. We see the Pain Res, Deadlock in play, and Corrupt Intervention going to be ticking down, and we see Barbecue as well in I think a map like this where you have sort of two sides to the map might see some value, but I think definitely a lot more consistency in the perks that are showing. Nightlight going to be looking around to try and find that first survivor. See some scratch marks on that tree, so going to be pathing around, seeing if someone's sneaking around here in this area.
Then the add-ons are a little bit interesting from Nightlight as well. I'm not surprised at all to see the Boots of Speed. It's definitely one of the best comp-focused add-ons for Vecna, giving you haste when you lift a pallet. Just makes those mage hand interactions that much more consistent. But the spell cooldown add-on is interesting. Maybe Nightlight not valuing the flight as much as NF did, who had the potion of speed, and that's going to be Light Soldier immediately getting hit by the Flight of the Damned there, and he's just going to go down at this pallet. The crouch was a little bit late, Zach, and you got to wonder if that was I don't know, maybe he just got caught off guard, maybe it was ping. That was definitely not how you want to start the match, though.
Yeah, and you're already seeing such a, like, already using two powers straight away in the first chase, and already a difference in the play styles. I have seen Nightlight play Vecna before. He is very consistent and he does use his power a lot. So I'm not surprised that he's taking the position of killer in this matchup. I don't know if that was ping or, like you say, getting caught off guard. Using Mage-Hand there really nicely, and gets stuck on the wall. Unfortunately, going to take a health state. Unhook comes through in the distance. We see pain res was used, so secured some regression there. And Chase is going to be taken to main building, but I'm not sure if he quite makes it. Going to crouch at the window, but gets grabbed because of the timing. Really well played by Nightlight, and that's going to be a quick second down on Tamir. This is not the start that we wanted for Team China, and it's going to really set Nightlight up for success going into the mid game.
Yeah, that's a really bad situation to be in on Survivor. Unfortunately, if you're ever in that situation where you've got skeletons coming at you, but you also have to hit a fast vault, you just have to send it and hope that the skeletons go around you. And that's going to be Ian here on the Meg taking a hit immediately at the main building. Mage Hand comes up, blocks the pallet, and Nightlight just goes for the normal red light mind game, and that's going to be another down at 5 gens. I mean, he's already almost halfway. He's already over halfway to this win condition.
Yeah, I mean, just a path down underneath, and I don't know if that was because of zoning or just being caught off guard, not having enough distance, but I feel like you probably want to play the top end of main there because it is the stronger side. There is not much line of sight underneath main building, and it has led to that mind game. And again, pathing underneath, I do wonder if this chase is going to be taken upstairs. It might be a bit more favorable for Milky Way, but no, going to be looping around underneath. Ian's still sat on the hook, and Mage-Hand going to be used, but unfortunately not going to be able to really last there with the Mage-Hand on the pallet. And these are some really quick downs from Knight. Like, you have to give it to him. He's very consistent on the Vector, and you can see he knows how to use the power really well.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing a difference between the two Survivor performances in that not necessarily that Eternal's survivors are better at the game. It's that I feel like Team China is just not taking chase in the places that are strong on this map. Rather than using the windows of main building and the shack area with connected strong filler pallets like Eternal did, they're taking chase at these unsafe filler pallets that can just be mage-handed. They're not using the strong windows. They're giving M1 hits before the chase even starts, and that's just allowing Nightlight to rack up these injuries, and he's basically almost at the win condition, and no gens have been done.
Yeah, they're working on 2 there, and since Light Soldier about to finish 1, and Ian there at main building. Milky Way still sat on the hook, and he knows he has the time, so it's just going to try and secure some stages, and has found Mira at Shack. Is going to commit to chase. Volt's inside, looks like Mira path away very nicely onto that filler pallet on the side. Now they're going to opt to break, and Chase is going to continue, but the distance, running that hound wide, and it's going to get picked up. Is it Hind going to hit? Yeah, it is. It is. So that's Mia going to go down at Shack, and the hook is going to go through in the distance there. You can see.
And I believe that's already the win con map for Nightlight.
That is, yeah, and 3 gens remaining. Dominating early game performance from Nightlight, and Team China faltering there. Like you say, positioning, I think, came into play. You saw the first 2 chases of the Eternal Survivors being taken at the 2 strongest places in the map, and unfortunately the chasers are not able to crouch underneath. And oh no, the fly didn't quite work out there.
Unable to make it over the pallet, but it just doesn't matter. And looks like this going to be the Vecna Mori coming out here. My skeletons. Turn this Nancy into a skeleton too. So that's going to be a Mori onto the second stage. Survivor, do remember that the Ebony Mori is allowed in the winter circuit. Definitely an interesting change that we have been seeing players taking advantage of so far. I really like the whole Ebony Mori change, honestly, Zach. It changes up the gameplay a little bit, and one of the things that I like is that it kind of changes the established strategy of where teams will just leave somebody on second stage in order to get gen progress, because now that person can't use DS, they can't do anything such as that. It really screws with that strategy that I think has become very established in a lot of sets.
Yeah, a lot of those interactions when someone's close to death has changed, and it can lead to some like quite a lot of time waste when you do want to secure that Mori. We saw, I think it was last weekend, Team China's Unknown was waiting at DS, but the survivor was in the locker and was trying to bait it and ended up Moriing. But the amount of time that bought, instead of just picking up and hooking, they were able to get that kill, like you say, and just deny it. Chase gonna be taken onto Mia, and unfortunately, Nightlight's hitting all of these flights of the down that the players are not able to dodge it, and he's gotten so much value out of that already. Ian's still on hook, and Jen's popped in the distance, so Nightlight now knows where all the survivors are, is able to hook him by Shaq, so he's potentially going to cut Light Soldier off, and we might be looking at a 4K2 right now.
Yeah, and that interaction right there is what I wanted to see from China's Vecna with the Flight of the Damned. There's so many spots that you can do that on this map. So Nightlight going to be taking advantage of that to get... I mean, he's getting so many hits with the Flight of the Damned. But it's not always because he's like, you know, mastermind Vecna. It also really seems like Team China is not used to the timing. Like every crouch seems to be late for them here. And there we go, Light Soldier. That's what he was trying to do in the first chase. There is a brief window where you can get around Vecna as he flies over something. So nice little chase tech there from Light Soldier. Didn't work out the first time, but now in his final chase, he gets to show us that you can, yes, you can double back into Vecna and kind of, it's kind of like a window tech.
Yeah, losing the collision as he flies over the pallet. Definitely one of the strats that is unique to Vecna only. Yeah, just going to be chasing around this loop. Eventually going to get caught. It's just a matter of time. I don't know. See, I don't know if it's a ping thing with the flights of the damned, but Nightlight's certainly using it in the right situations. So, I mean, either or could be said, but a dominating performance from Eternal's killer, and yeah, I think a lot was left to be desired of the China killer set. I thought that potentially we would see a lot more value out of the perks, but definitely interesting choices. Like you said, with the elevation on the different map, Nightlight definitely utilized it a lot more than China did, and yeah, we knew this was going to be a hard matchup, I think, to begin with. But yeah, Team Eternal just being absolutely consistent and able to really take good positioning in the map, and has essentially led to that difference in the result there, I think.
Yeah, so we're going to be taking it over to a very short break here as we set up the Oni set. Don't go anywhere, guys. It's going to be Team Eternal killing on the Oni, Team China on Survivor, with their backs against the wall here, since this is a best of 3, no longer the best of 5s of the qualifying sets. So don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back with a very exciting classic Oni set.
Welcome back, everyone. We are returning for the Oni set on Ormond. We have Zaka for Team Eternal playing killer. Starting us out, breaking main wall, and we see two survivors over here at Shaq straight away. So that was a very, very quick transition into that first chase. And we see Ian and both survivors playing Shaq. So not sure if Zaka's going to be too interested in taking chase there. Never mind, he is going to try and secure that first hit. And wow, really nice mind game, getting a lot of distance there. And we might see Shaq pulled early. No good mind game around the other side. And yeah, looks like he is going to leave and try and find a different survivor to chase. Oni, of course, with his power. And oh, we see Ian get hit, actually. Get quite out of position, maybe. I'm not sure what happened there. But that's going to be a very, very early first hit for Nightlight. So going to be trying to get his power. And this filler pallet here, not the safest. We see the mind game going to come through. And yeah, Bloodlust 1 kicking in. That's going to be Ian going down very fast. And that is a really nice start for Zaka.
So let me just explain kind of what Zaka did there and why Ian ended up getting hit. He knew that there were 2 survivors positioning at Shaq, and that as soon as he committed a chase with one of them, the other survivor was going to try to leave Shack to something connecting. So the survivor that was going to try to leave Shack was Ian, and Zaka immediately left the Nia as soon as he saw that Ian was going to leave Shack and was able to just catch up to him before he made anything that was connecting. So good game sense there from Zaka. Maybe though the two survivors from China should have just stayed near Shack Pallet and the window, because that was a very early first hit to Oni. But actually, that first, you know what? Just forget everything I just said, because they just gave another healthy hit, and that's going to give Zaka the power very, very soon. But sometimes when you give Oni a hit and a down that early, he doesn't even have enough blood to get his power. But now he certainly does. Blood Fury going to be coming out from Zaka now. Ian running on this Ormond variant tile, going to be, I mean, nice pathing there to get away from the tile. Looks like a little bit of a spin there coming out, going to dodge out onto that Demon Dash. Nicely done so far from Ian. What a spin there on the pallet. Holy crap. Not what I expected to come out in this chase. Throws the pallet now, gets back over it again, and Zaka, he's being made to look a little bit silly so far. Another spin from Ian. No way.
No way. Oh my goodness.
He makes it back to the tile now, Zach, and he's going to vaulting over it again. Zaka forced to break the pallet, and Ian now playing this filler pallet again, and he's just gonna make it to Shack. Zaka is out of power. You have got to be kidding me, Zach. What are these spins from Ian?
And what a comeback from Team China. Ian absolutely putting the entire team onto his shoulders, and he's gonna make it to Shack and
He's balance landing too. He can make it back to the window.
Yeah, wow. I mean, this is a bit of RNG we see here. Those two filler pallets into Shack, into the hill. It's like perfect chasing recipe for Ian, and he's making full use of it right now. And those two early hits we saw with which look really rough. You're gonna make up for it with this really good chase. I was like 3 back-to-back spins, and that hit's gonna come through unfortunately because of the medium vault. Wow, yeah, and you can see the gens being worked on right there. Light Soldier's about to pop one. We've got Milky Way on 50% on another, and Mia on a third. I think that's brought Team China back into this game.
3 separate gens being worked by Team China. Now, they're not out of the woods yet, Zach. They probably need to survive another Blood Fury from Zaka, which is a seriously tall order. But Ian there, putting the team on, did he put the team on his back, or did he just put all of China on his back here with that chase?
Potentially the entire region representing for them going into this tournament, and I'm really happy that that was able to be done. Super nice, and has found Milky Way, so hasn't found Mia's gen, which is where all of the power would be. It would be nice to spread the injuries, and Stun gonna come through, gonna wait at this pallet, try and play it. Is he gonna commit? No, gonna mind game this pallet, yeah, quite nicely, and holds W over to that tile. Fourth gen gonna pop in the distance.
Milky Way.
Yeah, really good decision making there to just connect those loops, not allow Zaka to mind game. Try and deny those hits as much as possible. I think once we see the next power, like you said, they're going to need to survive it, and that potentially could seal the deal for them. And these survivors are going to be resetting here, so nice. Once they get this reset through and that last power comes through, they should be able to close this out, but might need to sort of play this next stage of the game a bit more slowly and a bit more cautiously, I think.
Yeah, this is where Team China needs to play slow, stay calm. You're very close to maybe like 3 staging one of the best Onis in the world. Just do not overcommit for that main gen. It's got Eruption on it. It's the one that Zaka wants to defend right now. Blood Fury going to come out. It's going to be about 50 seconds of make or break here for Team China. Looks like it's Milky Way getting found at this tile off in the corner. First Demon Strike not going to land. Power comes out again. Maybe going for a flick. He's going to cancel the dash. Goes for another dash. And it looks like he's so far unable to find Milky Way. Goes for another dash wide around the window now, all the way around the tile. But he just can't. He's got to go for flick here. But he bumps on the wall. He can't find Milky Way just yet. If he goes for this right side flick, it's a little bit harder. And he gets bumped again. The corner from Milky Way. Zaka, he's almost out of power again.
It's such an awful tile to play.
Falls into him.
Him.
Milky Way. You almost had the insane full power chase, but still, that chase was so long. Even though he vaulted into the killer right at the end, this is still looking really good for China.
Yeah, and it would have been so much better if Milky Way didn't go down there, but like you said, the power is gone. So Zaka's back to square zero. He still has a lot of power back at Mia's gen that they were working on. So we'll see how close that gets into a third power. But yeah, last gen's going to be worked on. Unhook's going to come through onto Milky Way, and I think that chase was exactly what they needed. It was on such a good tile because of just how many different head-on actually going to come through there.
I'm surprised he actually did that. There must have been a call just now from Team China to double main instead. And so Mia wants to do something to keep Zaka at Shack, and Zaka knows this. I guess Mia and Zaka are thinking alike here, as he's immediately going to leave Mia and go towards main.
Yeah, and you can hear that gen getting sort of gradually progressed. It's going to have to find some power there. Going to kick apply Eruption. A good thing with Eruption is when you, I mean, especially with Oni, Eruption does apply with its power. So it's quite a good perk and synergizes pretty well. I believe Eruption applies twice on the regression events though, so there's only a certain amount of times you can use it per gen. Gonna find power, and they do finish that gen actually, so that is going to be all gens completed. Really, really well played, and yeah, taking chase over towards the main building. This is going to be the last power that Zaka has, so he really needs to try and find survivors, but no, going to catch the wall there on the edge. Going to decide to vault over, and I don't know if this is the safest place for Ian. He might end up going down here. Yeah, he does.
Ian is going to go down, but this is a good survivor to be downed.
Yeah.
Zaka, suspicious that there's somebody else here. Maybe suspicious of the head-on in the locker, but it's not going to be there. Mia, not taking the obvious play. He's actually in the basement. That is so smart from Mia. Oh, but Zaka knows this time. He somehow has sniffed out that Mia is in that basement locker. Door is open. I'm not sure if that's the one that's close or the one that's far. Mia now forced to take chase at this filler pallet. This, I believe, is a fresh survivor. Mia really does not want to go down here. Has to play this filler pallet. A hit going to be coming in from Milky Way. Can he stay between Mia and the killer here? Light Soldier also here to take a hit. Zaka actually somehow makes it around him. Mia now in the main building. Zaka pathing around the front. Oh, they didn't see him coming around the front. But for the people with We're Gonna Live Forever coming in from Team China, both of the survivors are gonna make it out. No way, Zach. These guys are so clutch in this Oni set. And Ian going to be picked up in the distance. Light Soldier healthy here. Maybe going to be making it out. If Zaka gets the power, that could be trouble for Light Soldier here, because this door is nowhere close to open.
Yeah, they need to play this last minute or so. Oh, the balance line going to be used. Okay, so a bit of distance, but yeah, Zaka does have power, does not want to commit there. Knows this gate's not really got any progress, and I think probably knows Light Soldier's here because it was picked up in this area. So we're just trying to wait to see. Oh yeah, he's got this little chokehold here, so he knows someone has to walk somewhere. They do have hatch to play for, but I think this is pretty well played by Zach here to hold this. Pops power, decides to go for Ian, commit to Ian, and Light Soldier's going to be still in that area. Maybe, I don't know if he's going to decide to bait or anything. Yeah, he does. So he baits away. Yeah, finds Light Soldier, baits Light Soldier away from the area by looking like he's committing to Ian. So this is really, really nice play from Zaka, and he's got power, so he's going to be able to see if he can continue chase onto Ian. This might be two kills that we see here.
Yeah, he's going to get stunned up there on that pellet. Ian now needs to survive at least 2 more demon dashes, and he gets another FOV spin on that wooden pole. And Zaka now zoning him away from the door, and the timer is ticking down, Zach. I don't think either of these survivors make it out. The timer is definitely a little bit slower because there's a survivor on the ground, but there's no way Ian makes this. So yeah, that's going to be 2 survivors are going to be killed here by the entity for Zaka, and I believe that's going to result in a 7 stage for Zaka. So all things considered, I am extremely impressed with this game from Team China. Even though they lost 2 in the end, they gave the Oni so many free hits early, only for Zaka to be ran for 2 full Blood Furies by these survivors.
Yeah, really back and forth. And I think you have to give it to Zaka. He held that end game down perfectly. Just plays to his knowledge, knows that those 2 survivors are in that corner and can see quite clearly that only one of the gates open, and it is the gate that is the other side of the map. So he capitalized so well there to get those 7 stages. Could have gone a lot worse, I think, for Team Eternal there. And Team China played it really, really well, like you said. I was really, really impressed. We are going to throw it to a short break, and I'm really, really excited to see Team China's answer to that result. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Mount Ormond Resort here, and we have Mo on the Oni for Team China playing against the survivors of Eternal. Needs 8 stages here to take us into a tiebreaker. After that very impressive performance from China's survivors, Mo here, he has a very tall task ahead of him against this Team Eternal. Definitely one of the best teams in the world at playing against Oni on the survivor side. So interesting, he's got the Rancor here. Other than that, it's the same build as Zaka, just no Gift of Pain. Chase now starting with Zaka at this filler pallet, immediately going to drop it. Smart decision there from Zaka. You can expect these Eternal survivors to be playing very conservatively with their pallets. And I don't mean saving the pallets. By conservatively, I mean immediately dropping them, unless they are extremely unsafe like this one here, as we see Zaka immediately trying to teabag there to, not for BM, but to make the killer think he was going to drop the pallet. Takes a first hit there. That's a relatively early first hit by Eternal standards, honestly. So blood going to be flowing here now for Mo, as he's going to be kicking that God pallet there. Zaka drops out of that building, and it looks like Mo is going to go back to collect some blood. He might, yeah, he does have the power here, so definitely a good start for Mo, Zach.
Yeah, if you can get a down or 2 with this power, he's going to be really set up very nicely. The gen's obviously been worked on, and Zaka was zoned quite nicely in that main building. Not able to prevent that first hit from going on. So I think that China probably feel really good about getting that power pretty early, and gonna save it. Wants to save it because you don't really want to pop power on Oni when you don't know where the survivors are. So just wants to try and monitor where these players are before popping that power. Wants to save it, wants to get the most value out of it. Seen playing it quite slowly, and maybe it was the Rancor actually waiting for the gen to pop for the information, which does make sense actually. So making full use of the perks, sees those 2 survivors off in the distance, and that is going to be Spitz found at Shack. Pallet already gone, and going to try and mind game this tower. And not quite going to be able to reach it yet. Spitz playing this really well. Just not able to reach there with the Demon Dash lunge. Might be able to do. Oh, the nice
in the corner
tech
there. Nice
pathing. Corner
tech,
yeah. You just saw the corner of your eye. Spitz crouched there on the side. 25% of his power left, and does go down right at the end. So Spitz able to run for the power. But the down does come through. We still have an injury on Zaka, and he does know he has a lot of power in main building, so would expect him to go over into that area for that second power trigger. But yeah, 4 gens, 1 hook. I think he's off to a good start.
Yep, Zaka now healed, so you got to be thinking, if you're Mo, that Eternal has been doing generators over healing Zaka, and they probably have quite a bit of progress elsewhere on the map. So Spit's going to be unhooked now, but there's still so much blood on the map from Zaka that even if Spitz gets quickly healed, I believe Mo should be able to find most of his next power around the main building. Looks like Dan fanning out to work on the generators. And yeah, he does find his power there from Zaka being unhealed for so long. So now Mo is right back to patrolling the map, waiting to see somebody that he can pop his power on. And looks like the next target is going to be, I believe that's Zaka here at the main building. Nice vault there. Oh yeah, that's gonna be Zaka running into the killer, going into the locker, and Mo wins the mind game there, and that's gonna be an instant down. I mean, yeah, you can just pick that up, Mo. That was so fast. You still got half of your power left. And Zach, I want to take a second to talk about the add-ons because these are not the traditional add-ons. I mean, yes, the Splintered Hull is in almost every single Oni build, but what is this green add-on here? It's the, I don't know what it's called, but it's definitely the one that increases the passive power recharge rate, which is something that you almost never see from Oni players in our usual NAEU games. You only really see people equip that add-on for Oni 1v1s. So really interesting choice there from Mo, and I think it's actually helping him quite a bit here with like his power recharges, and then he can just take the last couple of blood orbs that he finds, especially when Team Eternal is taking time to reset here and keep blood off the map.
Yeah, you don't see any gens popping. Do you think that they may be onto him with the Rancor potentially?
I think Eternal is just trying to play this slow and focusing on keeping blood off the map, resetting as quickly as possible. I think they don't want to have the same situation again where Mo just finds all of his power at main off of Zaka.
Yeah, it's probably a good shout because Oni's very snowbally killer. So once he gets those injuries going, can be pretty really good. But the drop down, this is the same mind game that Zaka got caught on. Is he going to be able to down Dan? Yeah. Wait, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but
yeah, I don't know what happened there either. It looks like he didn't do the input for long enough there on the Demon Strike, and so that's going to result in Dan surviving a little bit longer at this filler pallet. Also, not going to hit that flick either. I mean, this pallet is so weak, you kind of just want to walk him down, right? But okay, no, Mo wants to show us that he can flick, so gets a nice one there. Dan going to be put on the ground. There's 2 generators left to go. 2 stacks of Grim Embrace. Dan is going to be the third. This is the Obsession. He does need to hook the Obsession eventually for Grim Embrace. But that's going to be 1 hook stage subtracted from his potential Rancor value. And another generator going to be done. There's only 1 left now, and only 3 stages gotten for Mo so far. Zaka now in chase, but it doesn't look like Mo wants to commit. I'm not sure if the last generator has any amount of progress on it just yet, but this is going to be getting down to the wire for Mo. He needs to find that 4th stack of Grim Embrace, which I believe is Hardwell.
It is, yeah. Done really well to get the 3 hooks spread already. Split's gonna be dropping that pallet. Not sure if he has enough distance to make it around once again. It's gonna be close and fakes it out really nice. Makes it to that main window now. We see Dan gets unhooked and reset, and Bloodlust's gonna be kicking in. So get a nice little speed boost from that, and Spitz is going to hold W. Maybe doesn't want to commit. No, decides to
that
check
fake
on
from
gems.
Spitz. That fake
Super
from
nice.
Spitz was extremely clutch for Team Eternal, because if Mo gets power right now, that's really bad for Eternal. He saw a survivor here stealthing on this rock, and I believe that is Hardwell, the 4th stack of Embrace. No, it's actually Dan. Okay. So Dan going to be chased away from the 3-gen here, and yes, it is a 3-gen. Your eyes do not deceive you. A veritable triangle of gens here around the main building. It looks like they've only got about 30 to 40% progress on the closest one. Hardwell staying far away from the killer here. Very smart play from Eternal. They know that he's the 4th stack. But yeah, it looks like Mo, he's going to need to find an M1 here if he wants to get his power. Actually, there's a couple of blood orbs right there. I don't think he's going to take them, though, because he's waiting for that green add-on to kick in and give him the passive charge before he takes those few blood orbs to complete the power. I don't think Team Eternal expects him to be able to passively charge the power here. They probably think that he's not going to get it without an M1.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good add-on to run if you're not expecting to get hits, and Eternal are a team that know how to play around this set. But it's going to be power secured, and they're getting pretty close. The 2 other gens now have a lot more progress. Decides to pop power. I'm not sure if he really wants to commit. Zach here, probably better to check. Oh, Hardwell is here at this tower, and he has been found. This is the fourth stack of Grim Embrace, so this is going to be absolutely dream situation right now for China. So that's going to be the fourth stack of Grim Embrace. Is he going to hook? Probably will, because you do want to secure that Grim Embrace for 40 seconds, or 30 seconds, I can't quite remember. Hardwell going to go down. That's the fourth hook on the map, fourth unique survivor. So,
and Eternal's working 3 different gens right now.
Yeah, has the aura reading as well. Needs 3 more stages to secure the win because he has the 4 unique survivors hooked. And trying to find the survivor that was lurking around. I believe it was Dan.
Where's Dan? He better not be in that locker.
He might well be.
Okay, he's not.
He's not. He was staying safe at the pallet, looks like. But I think Mo's still onto him in this area. Wants to just make sure. And if Dan gets found, it could be quite bad. Doing really well to hide out, but he is in power, so is he going to find him? I mean, there's not many more places to check.
He's just staying at the pallet. Dan has now stealthed this entire Grim Embrace. Just misleading aura there from the Grim Embrace. Right as the aura disappeared, Dan was able to go over to a different spot and confuse Mo for the entire duration of that gen block. So just the little things from Team Eternal here, keeping them in the game.
Yeah, I'm really unlucky. I mean, if Mo was going to search that whole area, I don't know if maybe he just missed that pallet. I know, but never mind. Has found Dan. That is going to be Sprint Burst used. And this is the Obsession again. Going to continue chase. Going to pre-drop. Probably does not. Wants to buy as much time as possible. Going to continue chase around this tile and holds W over to that Z wall. And the last gen is pop. Bloodlust kicking in.
Adrenaline coming in from Dan as well. But this is the Rancor survivor. If Dan goes down here, that is going to be a Mori, but crucially, that's not going to be enough for Mo. Even if he gets this Mori, and the door is already open, Zach. Team Eternal here taking 3 outs and the series.
Yep, congratulations to Eternal for that 2-0. They played that perfectly. And I think that stealth from Dan there really, really brought into that to the win here, because he wasn't able to get any sort of momentum going from that 4th stack of Grim. Just, you know, Eternal really showing like why they're one of the best teams, and you have to give it to China. I think that was a really strong performance on the Oni early game. They played it so well. Unfortunately, Eternal going to come out on top here, and that will be China going down into the losers bracket, and Eternal will advance. But yeah, our predictions were wrong, Prion.
Yeah, so it's going to be a 2-0 in favor of Eternal, but I'm not disheartened by what I saw from China today. I think how I would characterize this match, Zach, is that Team China had flashes of brilliance. I think they had some times where they did really well against one of the best teams in the world. And I think that if China can just kind of get more comfortable on cross-regional ping and get a little bit more consistency in these matches, I think they're going to do well in the losers bracket. And I think we could definitely see them making a run against the other teams that end up in the losers bracket.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of factors that we have spotted that may be disadvantaging them a little bit, but we have seen really strong performances like today, like last week. We can see that they are clearly a team, you know, they're here to play representing Asia. And yeah, I think they still performed pretty well, not able to take the set.